These mist-covered mountains are a home now for me.
I don't know if people can really enjoy life if they don't have some passion for something.
And always
You cannot fear failure. You must fail.
someday you'll return to
As little as just changing
and your
some words you use can open up, the positive thinking.
brothers in arms.
The more you have those successful moments and failures, the more you really know how you react to those situations. I just somehow realized that it's okay. You really can show all your emotions and be really honest on stage.
Though they did hurt me so bad.
Hey, yes, welcome to Surfer of Life. Today I'm sitting here with Tuukka Haapaniemi,
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
a founder and a singer in a Club for Five band,
Yeah.
which was actually founded 2000.
Yeah.
You have studied music in the Sibelius Academy and graduated as a Bachelor of Music.
Yes.
And now you are a singer and you are an instrument. You are many instruments yourself. You have created your own unique way of performing and making sounds. I'm so honored to have you here, Tuukka. Welcome to Surfer of Life.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
How did it go with the AEG Comfort Lift dishwasher?
Actually, it's still working. It's all good. And I was just participating in this some ad campaign, and then they just like messaged me that okay, you could be a good candidate because probably my kitchen was it was not a huge kitchen, so it was a tiny kitchen, and I think that they just wanted to have a like a real home kitchen, not like the fancy you see on magazines. And because I'm 190 centimeters long, they thought that the Comfort Lift thing, where the bottom lifts up, would suit me fine. And maybe also because I tend to think that I'm natural in those videos or in front of the camera. So and it was great fun. It was really fun.
Do you have any time spending at home using the dishwasher because you're around, you're touring a lot?
Yes. Actually, I have because we like it's true that we tour and we have performances all around the world, but we try to keep it very simple. We try to make periods. That, okay, this is the period that we go abroad. This is the period that we are in Finland. And this is the period that we are close to home because all the band members have children, little children. So it's nice to have daddy and mother at home sometimes.
Yes, that's a clever way of thinking it.
Yeah.
You come from a background, from a family that has a strong connection to the music.
Yes.
And it influenced you. Tell me about your background and how did you get involved with music so deeply?
I think that the music has always been around me. So even actually, I've been told that when I was still in my mother's womb, they would play, my mother and father would play me some music through headphones.
Right.
And there was they kind of made an experiment that they played some flute music, which was supposed to soothe me. And also when I was born, if I had if I cried or something, that they would play the same flute music to see if that music would calm me down. They didn't finish the process because imagine if the same flute music would come when you are driving a car. And then, yeah. But from that early age, my father was a music teacher, and so we had a lot of different instruments, and he was always like playing records or playing guitar or something and singing, and my mother was singing, and so music is kind of I haven't discovered music, but I've always been inside music. And I'm the oldest of 4 children. We all played string instruments: violin, viola, cello, contrabass. And when we got to the teenager part, then all the band instruments like the drums, bass, guitars, synthesizers, whatever. And so actually, music for me is I don't differentiate like genres. It's for me it's a playground of different sounds and escapes.
Did you have any specific instrument when you were younger, or did you like to sing more, or like you said, was it just a playground? Everything was open for you?
Well, when I was 6 years old, I started to play the violin, and then moved to viola because the violin was getting small and I was getting bigger, and then later on I bought drums. I also sang quite a lot. I sang in choirs. I was actually the highest soprano in a girls' choir.
You?
Yes. And I was the only boy in that choir. And then later on, they formed in the school. They formed a mixed choir. So I was there in the tenor section for 2 months before my voice broke, and then I began the bass.
All right. Well, probably you're glad it broke.
I'm very glad, and I'm glad that that I got a career job out of it also.
Yeah. How did it feel to be the only boy in the band? Probably it was something special, and all probably other boys were playing football, or something like that.
Sports.
Basketball, yeah. How did it feel to be a different in that type of way?
It's a good question. I think I didn't take it as a problem. I think I was just so into like singing, and it was so natural to me that I didn't feel that, okay, now I'm not doing any boys stuff or something like this. I just, because in gym classes, I would still play soccer or basketball or whatever. And in the yard with my friends, we would go to play, football or whatever. But I was just so, how would you say? I wasn't thinking that it's a girl thing or a boy thing. Yeah. I was just singing.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's natural. Probably you were just the hero of the guys because you were surrounded by a lot of girls.
I got all the ladies. Yeah. It was because after that there were a couple of other guys who joined the choir, and then when we grew up, they then formed the mixed choir. So there was a demand for boys to be able to sing, and a lot of the guys were singing in bands, so they were singing. Singing wasn't thought to be a girl thing or something that, okay, if you don't play basketball or sports, then it's no good, because singing was actually considered a talent.
Yeah. You told me that your voice broke. How long did it take from there to create your own unique bass sound?
Well, when my voice broke, I was probably 13 about. And I was singing bass in a choir at the age of 15.
Right.
So I think that was the time that my voice kind of searched for the place to be. And around 15, 16, I wasn't a tenor anymore. I wasn't this kind of bass, but it was going towards that low end. And then in high school, when I was 16, 17, I was still playing around with my voice, the high pitches, low pitches. And that was the time that I actually listened a lot to an artist called Bob McFerrin and tried to imitate that kind of instrumental use of the human voice.
Okay.
And but I think high school was around 16, 18. That was the thing that really turned me into more of a singer than a player. Because at that time I was still playing viola and I was playing drums in a jazz trio. And I was kind of going towards the music education thing. So I probably would be a music teacher, I thought at that time. But I've always loved using the voice. And I still remember that even as a young age, I was fascinated by singers and singing in harmony. That was, even if I didn't know that was singing in harmony, that somehow just felt good.
How familiar was acapella that time?
Well, acapella was very different at that time.
Yeah.
There were very few groups in Finland. No professional groups, so they all had different jobs. And it was more of the classical side of singing. In United States and maybe in Europe, there were some jazz singing groups, but not so much a cappella, because a cappella is without instruments. It's without the band. And people usually refer a cappella group or talk about a cappella groups, and they say that Manhattan Transfer would be an a cappella group, and that's wrong.
Okay.
It's a singing group. They rarely perform anything without a band. It's a singing group. It's a jazz vocal group. Also, there's a band called New York Voices, which they do have some a cappella songs, but most of the thing they do is with a band. So actually, this a cappella concept is, and what we do, like sounding drums or something like that, is relatively new. I think that started gaining popularity in the 90s.
So that's the crucial difference there, then.
Yeah.
Did it help you out when you were searching your own voice? Your voice broke, you were trying to find your tune. You think that's the reason why you are now in this position? Did it help you out finding these unique, different sounds that you're making right now?
Definitely, yeah. I think because I was so I actually wanted to be a one-man band. I learned to play all the instruments. Because my sister and my two younger brothers played those string instruments. I would sometimes take them and start playing, and because we had these band instruments in our house, so I learned to play the band guitars and bass and stuff like that. And also I found some, flutes or trumpets or saxophones or something like that. And I always imagined that I would do music by myself. So I would play and sing everything by myself. And I think that was, for me, actually the high school or the university of music for me, that I didn't focus on anything, but I wanted to learn as much about the music and much about these instruments and techniques and whatever. But I didn't know that I would be imitating those things. It was just like, oh, this is fun. I want to learn this and I want to learn that. And what I'm doing now for a living is actually just producing that wholeness, that everything that I have through my mouth.
How did that get started? When did you realize that, why do I use these instruments with drums and violins? Because I can use my voice. When did you realize this?
Well, I think it was in the 1990s, 1995, 94, something like that, when I really got into this Bob McFerrin character.
Yeah.
And I learned one song of his, and I somehow realized that I could be a band all by myself, like just singing and tapping my chest or something like that. And from that moment on, I actually didn't realize it. But some of my friends who saw me do that, they were like, okay, this is something different. This is something that this guy is going to do. They saw it before me.
All right.
And actually, we had a class reunion half a year ago, and they were talking to me and said that, you remember the one talent show that you were in school? I was, yeah. And you sang that Bob McFerrin thing, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, it was magical for them. It was something that they really saw that, okay, this is special. This is something that no one else has ever done, not that they know of. And they said, okay, he's going to do this. This is going to be his thing. And I didn't know that. I was still going to be a music teacher or something like that. So it was very nice for like to find that years later, because I didn't feel any pressure on being, now have to be something. That I was just on the path to enjoy life and maybe to become a teacher or something like that. And all this other thing was just like coming with me. So actually, I think the pressure-free atmosphere was the thing that why I'm doing this. No one has forced me to do this. This is just completely what comes inside.
Yeah. How important it is to follow your passion. A lot of people out there who are not, or let's say they are too afraid to follow their dreams, to try to achieve what they are passionate for.
I think it's the most important thing. Because if you don't have passion, it's, I don't know if people can really enjoy life if they don't have some passion for something. It doesn't have to have be a big dream or anything. And dreams are different. Dreams are maybe something that you try to achieve or you go towards. But passion is something that you can really, really do and really like go into something. And for me, the passion would be music, not just singing, but music as a whole. And I'd say that that people should be more into something, whatever it is. They need to find their passion to get them going. Some people find a career in their passion.
Yeah.
Some people work and then they have a hobby, which is their passion. I'm lucky that I got a career out of my passion.
So the right way to put it would be, don't follow your dreams, follow your passion.
I'd say, yeah, because if you conquer, if you get to your dream, what's next?
Correct. Yeah.
It's like you have to have dreams, but they have to be. It's not a, you know, somehow some people have said that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
The dreams are pretty much, they're a little bit attached from you, and passion is deeply inside.
Yeah. Passion is the life. Dreams can be far away, and you have. I think that people have to have dreams, but at the same time, the dreams cannot be too big or too far, because then you feel sorry for not reaching your dreams. Or then you can have small dreams and go from dream to dream to dream. But I would say that the passion would be more healthy.
Yeah. Okay, it's passion, but then often we see people, talented people like you, the word talent, and we see them, okay, he was natural born talent, but then comes the hard part, the work. How much work does it demand to be in a level like you are right now?
Very much work. I would say that talent is overrated. You can have talent, or in some way you must have talent. You must have maybe passion, but you must have motivation. You must work very, very hard. I've worked very, very hard to be where I am now. But it's, like I said, no one has forced me to work. I have wanted to work. It's all in my motivation.
And that makes the difference.
Yeah. I would say that, you know, it can be anything like 95% work, 5% talent. Or 80% work, 10% something motivation, and 10% talent or something like that. Work is the most important thing. Nothing comes free.
How about your sound? Is there any way to put it? How is it possible to make so many different sounds? How did you actually start doing it? You mentioned about it already, but was there some click that you were listening to drums and then you tried to figure it out how to use your voice doing the same?
Yeah, because when the band started in the year 2000, I was maybe producing low notes, but I was still somehow singing the bass. And eventually I got to the point where I ditched that singing part and started being the bass instrument. Started more of a thinking of the playing of an instrument. And it was the same thing with the drums that in the early years, I somehow I searched for different kinds of sounds, and they all sounded too human in some way, because I would say like chicky 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 chicky, and it sounds like chicky chicky chick. But what I would do now would be which actually has no tone. It's just the percussive part. It's just a ch. It's not ch. It's just those sounds, and it took me years to somehow figure that out. That I'm not singing. I'm playing. For example, I'm playing the bass. I'm playing the drums, and whatever comes out of my mouth is actually just the sounds, just the image of those instruments. And I'm not singing. I'm producing sounds.
So you become actually the instrument itself.
Yeah.
I've seen your show a couple of times, and when I see you on stage, you are playing the bass when you're making the bass sound. You're
playing the drums.
Playing the drums when you're making the drum sound. So you are actually the instrument itself.
Yeah, it's a very strong connection to the movement of the body, the movement of the hands, and I think that I could produce those sounds and pretend I'm a drummer, even though I would not wave my hands.
Yeah.
But the image is so clear in my head that I do different things when I'm allowed to play, because I've noticed that we had a song where I had a drum solo, and every now and then I had the microphone in my hand, and I was playing just with one hand, and I would make the drum solo, but because I only had one hand free, the solo would be different than if I had a mic stand, and I could use both hands, because the thing was so powerful for me that I really have to feel that I'm playing. It's just very different. I couldn't play the same kind of solo just waving or using just one hand, because it's the same when you would play the real drums. It's a different kind of thing just to hit the drums with the stick with one hand. But when you have two hands, you can do different and more.
That's fascinating.
It is. I don't know what the mental thing or the why my brain does this, but it's so strong, the feel that okay, now I have the stick in my hand and I'm seeing the drums that I'm pounding on, and if I have two, then I can move more freely around the set.
Something be honest, I don't really understand.
Yeah.
How it is possible to make different sounds, and it sounds like it's the same time. So you're producing many different sounds at the same time using your voice.
Yeah.
That's something I don't understand. Tell me about that.
Well, actually, it's not that hard, because we do it all the time. For example, if you are eating something, food, and it's very good, and you're like, actually you are doing a couple of sounds. You are doing and also
Yeah.
That's two sounds together. So actually people just maybe don't realize that they can do these things. Also, if there's like you're kissing someone, you're like, that's two sounds. So people can do these, but it's just a matter of like somehow getting the idea at okay. And there you have like drums and some like a harmony part.
So a big part of it is just understanding.
Yeah, big part understanding, and also have the courage to do these things, because the first thing would be like, I'm embarrassed, and this is it feels weird, or or if people watch me, I'm going to look like stupid or something like that, and you have to break that barrier. You're like, you own this, and like, okay, this is my thing, and I want to, and this is all fine.
Courage.
Yeah.
That's a strong word.
Yeah.
How important it is to fail, actually, to be able to proceed, progress in your career, whatever it is.
You cannot fear failure. You must fail. No one succeeds every time, all the time. I fail all the time. I also succeed all the time. And that's I think that because in music and in performance or the art that we do, actually the perfect performance is not equal to a performance with no fails. It's if you have a good feel, a good connection to the audience. It doesn't matter actually if you fail, because you get the support and people like, and also in my line of work, because it's like you described it, that you don't actually understand everything that's happening. It's like when I would do a fail that people really hear, they would probably think, okay, so this is live. So he's actually doing that thing. So he's human after all. There are no machines here. So it's and that's how I think of it. That I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I think that I've made a some kind of tiny or a big mistake in every performance that I've ever done. But it doesn't matter.
Has this always been your mindset since the beginning, as a young age, or have you just grown it year after year?
I think when I was doing the classical thing, that in that world, the drive towards the perfectness is well, that's an emphasis in the classical world where you have to have the certain technique and really push that to the limit. And of course, when you have these exams or something like that, you get grades or points or whatever, and if you fail, the points would be lower. So maybe there would be some pressure of like a perfect performance, but I've never felt that kind of pressure that I would have to be perfect. It's actually that I have to be good, and so good as I want. If I want to be better, then I would train. Then I would go and rehearse, and I would do something about it. But if I'm happy what I can do, that's enough.
Was this something that your parents taught you?
Yeah. They always said that it doesn't matter about the grades or something like that. It's all if you're happy. But surely when you're a teenager and you don't want to, go to the music classes or whatever, they have to push you, like, go. But I'm very grateful that they did the push. I know that in teenager years, that's a very tough age that, nothing is interesting, and people are like, everything sucks. That you have to have some outside help to really push you through those difficult years.
You're now a parent.
Yeah.
Is it as easy as being a parent following that same path?
Well, I'm trying very hard. And my daughter is. I think that I've succeeded. That I haven't pushed her like you have to do this or you have to do that, or she has a hobby and now this is the way to do. No, I've been supportive, and also she turns 10 in a month or two, so it's still like playing. It's not so serious, but I still encourage her to not make decisions based on like one failure. If she like falls or someone kicks a ball in her face and she goes like, oh, I'm never going to play football again. I'm like, okay, let's take it easy. It was just it was a accident, and the next time it will be something very different, and you will fall, but you will stand up and you will have great time.
Great. Let's hop on the stage.
Yeah.
You are a performer, singer, an instrument, everything. I think on the stage. Tell me actually, why do you sing? Why do you want to perform?
I think it makes me happy, and I trust that it also makes the audience happy. I think that's if it would not be something that I really wanted to do, I wouldn't go on stage. You really have to be, if and when you go on stage, you are there 110%, and you really want to share that moment with the audience. That connection to the audience is vital for me. If I don't feel it, one really has to work in able to get that connection somehow. Sometimes you don't have that deep connection, and you could say that it's a failure. It's not a failure, but it's different, and then you have to work real hard. But why I go on the stage is that that's when I can share that moment with people.
I read an article where you said that you got to be totally open when you go on stage, that you cannot wear a mask.
Yeah.
Is it not scary to be that vulnerable and open?
It is.
Total strangers.
It is.
How you cope with that fear?
I think it just takes years of doing that, because a lot of people have some defenses. They somehow have this role of an artist or something like that, and it's fine. It's very okay, but for me, when I'm on stage, this is the person that I am. And it's easier for me to be open, to be honest, to be like this is what I am, and whether you like it or not, I'm not gonna change for you. I'm this person, and it took years to be. Maybe it's just like growing up. You find your own space. You really, when you know who you are, then you can share that person to others. And if a performer is very insecure, then she has to have this kind of mask, this kind of defense that this is now the artist, this is something different than the guy who's walking to the grocery store and buy milk. And I know that it's also possible to connect with the audience with inside that role, but that's not the way to go with me.
Does it affect the sound? if you're not wide open and you are wearing the mask and you are playing an act?
For me, I would say that it would, because I think that I wouldn't be so relaxed. I wouldn't be so like in the moment. I would have to think too much about what I'm doing, how I'm doing, or what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it would be a lie, but I'm saying that it would be something that is not from the heart. It's something from the mind. It's something that I made up, or some illusion of something, and that would be very hard.
How emotional you get on the stage?
Very. Actually, I've cried multiple times, like really cried, and that was for me that was actually one turning point. It happened 3 years ago. My one of my oldest friends died accidentally, and he was a godfather for my daughter, and I'm a godfather of his daughter.
Okay.
And he had one song that we sing that was
Brothers in Arms.
Brothers in Arms. That was his favorite. And after his death, I couldn't sing that song without getting very deeply emotional, and there were dozens of performances that were nearly breaking up. So I barely could sing that piece through, and that somehow opened up like more layers, and even though that was crushing and it was a deeply saddening thing, I found strength of being more open and more like really letting everything out and really having these emotions. I just somehow realized that it's okay. You really can show all your emotions and be really honest on stage, because that's where you can have this real deep connection to the audience.
This is a very valuable lesson for all of us. Not being on a stage wherever we are. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Did this sad incident change the song? Is it the same still, or
No.
does it have a different vibe after
No,
that?
it certainly has a different vibe. It actually it somehow widened the spectrum that what that song can be, and how I performed it, because I know that for many people that song is or the song itself is big, and it was a huge hit, and it's a great song, and our version is for many people is that that's the bass singing that song, and for me it's not about singing, that look, I'm singing low notes or something like that, but it has always been, and after the accident even more, that that I produce and I tell the story. I'm reflecting the feeling, and after that accident, it just got like deeper, and I really could connect to the sorrow and sadness and death, because it's about the insanity of war. So that really, like, I dug into those horrible feelings, and nowadays I don't actually I'm not actually thinking that I'm singing.
Okay.
I'm just letting it out.
Okay, that's interesting. What about the songs? You write songs. Is it easier to perform your own songs when you have more emotion? You've done it yourself. Vice versa, I saw you on a stage in this casino. There was a dinner and show, and the songs are written by somebody else. Is there a difference when you're performing those?
Yeah, certainly there are, because and also it's sometimes it's dependent on the language also, because when you perform not in your mother tongue, even though you could be fluent in English or whatever language you're singing, when you sing in your mother tongue, and that would be Finnish in this surroundings. So when we have performed our songs sung in Finnish in abroad, people have said that they somehow understood what the songs were about, because they would hear the emotion in our voices. And that's a huge thing, because no one understands Finnish, but they could somehow hear the feel that we had. Like, is it a positive or is it a negative or whatever? So using your mother tongue is also the thing for really connecting, and if you have your own songs, then it's even more of like, oh, this is like, I want to tell this story.
You are connecting to the people on the stage, and occasionally you make the crowd do beatbox as well.
Yeah.
How does it go with the crowd?
It actually, it's like I said earlier, it's just about like somehow grabbing the idea. It's like, okay, so this is how you do it, and because I could teach you a simple drum kit.
All right.
with a Finnish word puutikkaat. If you say the word puutikkaat, and now you would take just the consonants. Now you would,
something like that.
Yeah, and now you would have a like a bass drum, and then you had the and this is the way.
Okay.
This is the easy way of getting a drum set. This is the easy way to beatbox. That's all you need. That's like the first level, and then you go around and you walk or you're at home in the shower and you're like, and then eventually you make your own patterns and maybe play around with different sounds. But that's kind of like the basic thing. And for me, as a music educator, as a music teacher, I've studied the pedagogical side. That I if I want people to learn something, it's either very simple, like one word. They all know puutikka. Okay, this is the, and they remember it for the rest of their lives. Or then I will try to take something that they already have, some context that they are familiar with, and connect that new info to that context. It's always easier to just connect something to what you already have than to learn something completely new.
Understanding. It was very simple, and I can. When you continued, I was just able to hear all the time the puutikkaat,
yeah.
which is wooden ladders in
wooden
English.
ladders in English, yeah.
But in Finnish it works out. That's the drum. Oh,
yeah. The English
crazy.
version, what I've heard is boots, cats, like
Okay.
It's a bit different, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing that you have something very simple, and you take it just to the next level.
Nice. Now I will remember. I will remember puutikkaat.
Puutikkaat.
Today when I go home, I see myself doing it.
Yeah, good.
Club 45. You are one of the founders, and it's been 18 years soon.
Yeah.
Is it already 18 years? But 2000 was the year you founded.
Yeah.
What was the kickstart for that?
Well, we were studying in Sibelius Academy in the music education department with Jouni, the tenor.
Yeah.
And we had some other collaborations with some other singers, and then we had different, maybe 2 or 3 different vocal groups, which were more of this like traditional singing, and then we just wanted to go a bit further and experiment with different kinds of things that you could do, and so then we just like formed Club 45 with the people we knew, or actually the first 5 people were so Jouni and I, and then I was dating a girl whose cousin was a good singer, so we took her and her friend, and then there was a guy who sang in a male voice choir with us. So that was the first 5, and we did some arrangement, maybe 2 or 3 arrangements, just to see that if the image that we have, if it could be done, and a year from that, we had done maybe a dozen concerts or a dozen gigs. We had won a competition, and we were. It was still like a nice school project, but we were starting to think that okay, this might be a good thing, because the way we did and do music was appealing to a wider range of people. So we had audience for the music and how we were doing that music, and the first 4 years we gathered some more material, did arrangements, and eventually in 2005 we started a company, and from that moment on, Club 45 has been our day job.
So it took 5 years.
It took about 5 years.
More a marathon than a sprint.
Yeah.
Is this the way we should think about the things we do? And concentrate on the precise moment, the present, not thinking about the future that much. Because I bump into that situation many times in my own life, that I start to make too big picture out of it, and suddenly it feels like the walls are collapsing, and it feels like I can't reach that goal.
I think you're right, because a lot of people overthink, and then they come to a conclusion here, even without the journey, even without they actually ever starting the journey. They all already see the end conclusion, which is like, how you cannot make that kinds of decisions. But I would suggest that you go to the journey. You see, you feel, and you may fail, but you stand up again. And if you have the passion, if you have a clear focus. If something like I know that this is going to work, then go for it.
That's a good advice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we, like you said, overthink, because we cannot predict the future.
No.
I tried it many times, but that's a failure.
Yeah,
and then it kind of like slows me down of doing things I would actually love. I do exactly what you said, overthink.
Yeah. I think that people should be more optimistic than feed this pessimism all the time, because there's always that possibility that things can go right.
And it's crazy that we actually think more often the negative side in our life, because there's way more positive things around us than negative, but the negativity just, rises up, and it's all in your head, and you forget all about the beautiful things around you, even though they are there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm actively trying to think from the positive side. It really is a state of mind, and you are constantly like being optimistic, not like crazy optimistic, but still okay. I can do this. This is possible. So you go and you take the journey. You aren't in the starting column and you decide in the starting column, okay, this is not going to work. Well, if you decide even before you start the journey that this is going to, it's not going to work. But if you start the journey like, I think this is going to work, yes, it's going to work, then it just might work.
Okay.
I read someplace that as little as just changing some words you use can open up, the positive thinking. And there was a problem. There was a thing that a guy said that this is imaginary thing, but a guy says, I have a lot of work to do, but I would like to go to see a movie. The key word is but, because I want to go to see a movie, but I have a lot of work to do. So what happens? He doesn't go to see the movie because he somehow blames the work that I'm never going to see the movie because always I have work, blah, 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 blah. But if you say, I want to go to the movies and I have a lot of work to do, then you are searching for the answer to be able to do the both. This was for me like, there's some truth in this. And I constantly try to use these types of things to really be more optimistic, and I think that it's also that I feel more confident. I'm not in fear of failure, but I'm confident that this is going to work. And even if it doesn't work, I'm like, okay, the next one will.
Talking to yourself using those words, that's your method.
Talking or just thinking.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Do you use any other methods? Do you meditate, do anything like this?
No, I don't meditate, but I've noticed that on stage, for example, because sometimes it's quite intense and I get like very out of breath or something like that. I take a couple of deep breaths just to catch my breath and relax, and that's something that I just found out that it works for me. So I could keep like this, but when I even though my heart would be pumping, my breathing gets relaxed. This is, I think that if one meditates, the breathing would be the same thing, that you have to take these deep breaths. And like I said, I don't meditate, but this is the way for me to relax, to take deep breaths.
Breathing is a very powerful tool.
Yes.
I've done it myself. I've been practicing now a longer
Yeah.
period of time than breathing, and that's my sort of meditation as well.
Yeah.
And I've seen it's instantly, actually the heart rate drops down when you do the right type of breathing. You can, in 1 minute, you can drop it down from, let's say, 100 to 50 or something.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. It is, and for example, if one is like jogging or running, that's a good interval thing, that you are running, and then when you stop, you are actively concentrating on your breathing, and not like, okay, I have to go, but you are, and now I go. It's remarkable, like you said, that you can drop your heart rate quite fast.
Yeah. Probably you've been teaching yourself breathing because of using your voice and singing.
Yes, because that's the most important part is to control your breathing. You have to have big lungs, or you have to be able to get air in as much as, not as much as you can, but a fair amount of air here, and then you have to control on letting the tiniest amount of air out, because you maybe have a long phrase or something like that. Everything is dependent on when you inhale. If the inhale fails, then the whole phrase, what comes when you sing, is doomed, because you haven't had the preparation, and this preparation is like 100 times per song. It can be, for example, for me at least, because I'm as a bassist drummer, I don't have actually good places for a normal breath, because the drummer keeps the tempo. The drummer, it keeps on drumming. It's just like the drummer doesn't stop, like yeah, and then what he has to like keep the music going on. So there's actually a technique that I discovered. It's kind of like circular breathing. You cannot sing you could sing inwards, but it's just a circus act. Mm. But for example, these percussive things, I'm circular breathing. So I actually I'm controlling my breath, and during a split second, I'm breathing in through my nose, still doing some things with my mouth, and then I have all the air that I need to be able to make that phrase until I must breathe again.
Doesn't happen without practice.
No, doesn't happen. No. But it's when you get the idea, when you're like, okay, this is the way to do. Then for me, for example, it took me, I don't know, a year to get to be relaxed with that. And nowadays, I don't really have to think about it. But the first moments were like, how do you do? And but it's like when I said about the kissing. When you have an infectious kiss, you don't leave that and then you go kissing again, but you are breathing through your nose, and this is it, and you're still kissing, and it's the same thing that that I'm breathing through my nose when I'm doing. So I'm still using air in my mouth and breathing through my nose.
And again, sorry, continue.
Yeah. But it's kind of the how the magic is done. So this is kind of like the magician does a trick. So this is kind of the trick that tricks the listener to think that it's a continuous breath. That, okay, the guy didn't breathe for 3 minutes. I did, but I also was able to produce some sounds while breathing.
Thank you for clearing this up, because this is one thing I've never understood in my life, because people playing flute or whatever instruments,
or clarinet or something. So it's the same thing in for example in oboe, that they blow the air and then they gather the air in the cheeks, and at the same time that they are blowing the air from their cheeks, they're breathing in, and it's the sensation of that is the first times is like, what did I just do? Like it actually feels like you are underwater and you can't breathe.
Okay,
you're like or the first time you are with the snorkel and you are underwater, and you know that now you could breathe, but you somehow the psychology prevents you from breathing because you are underwater, and you're like, okay, I can breathe, okay, and then you know how to use a snorkel. It's kind of same thing, that okay, can I do it? It can feel here like I'm not able to do this, but it actually, when you just do it, I'm like, okay, this is not so bad. It takes courage to really like explore.
Mental.
It's mental. It is mental.
We tried once, because I have seen in the movies that you have this air bubble. Probably it's right word in English that you can create. In these movies, they put a boat on top of their heads and they they walk in the bottom of the ocean. And I actually tried it with the bucket. In a swimming pool, so I just put this 10-liter bucket in my head, and then I went under below the surface, and
how
the first breath, it was working, but the situation that you realize that you are underwater and you just have a bucket, it took some courage to take the first breath.
Yeah,
this was exactly the same situation. It took a while, then the water found your breath, but there was some minutes you were able to do that.
Yeah, because I think it's a sensation that you have in your chest and in your lungs, that when you see that you are underwater, and when you know you are underwater, and you have to like, and the water is here, and then you expand your lungs. It's just because that normally doesn't happen, because you cannot extend your lungs. You are breathing out. If something, you are not breathing in. But that's the first sensation, is like, okay, okay, relax, and like you said, it's all here.
Need to break the habit.
Yeah,
it's amazing what we can actually do and achieve using our own body. And there's so many things still out there that we don't even realize.
Yeah.
When you see these Shaolin monks, for example, and then you see like, what is this guy doing? What the hell?
Yeah.
And then you realize that he's actually using his own body to do it, like push up with the one finger, almost handstanding or whatever, crazy things. Same with the breathing, same with this kind of things that we just, there's so many things that we are actually able to do and make. Yeah,
I think that people are focusing more on the physical side, because that's somehow easier. You can understand your muscles. You can see your muscles growing or something like, or losing weight or whatever. But this is something very different, and I think that some people either they don't know or or they are not. They don't have the courage to really exercise the mind and like expand that, because it always I think that I really think that some people are sick because their mind is sick. It's not a physical disease actually, or some virus or bacteria. It can be also that, but some people are sick because their mind is sick, and they have physical symptoms because their mind is sick.
Exactly. In my opinion, a lot of people don't know that. They don't have the right tools, they don't understand it, or maybe they are, like you said, too afraid to dig deeper in their own soul. I've done some soul searching now for over a year, and wow, it's heavy shit, to be honest.
But you look good.
Oh, thank you very much. But it's heavy duty when you actually try to, and when you realize your weak spots in yourself, and you try to, and you actually start realizing it. Okay, I am like this, and there's these things I could change. I believe that people can really change. Actually, they can really change their mindset.
I believe too. Yeah.
To get more potential out of themselves and feel better. I think that's the most important. You need to feel good. Yeah,
and I think that in the training situation, one should really pay attention to both the physics and the mental health.
Yeah. You are a teacher as well, or you were. Are you still teaching?
Well, nowadays I'm not teaching in schools. I was actually I was in a school for a year teaching music. I was a music teacher, and nowadays my teaching is more of workshops or master classes or something like that. But the age variation is from kids to grown-ups. So I'm still doing a lot of mentoring and teaching and lecturing and stuff like that. And I have and I'm a teacher also in the Sibelius Academy, which and I teach there this vocal ensemble things.
Do you use mental training with the students as well, as we spoke now?
Not so much, because usually the sessions are very short. I think that well, if you could count like some warm-up things, which I would do with the kids or with the grown-ups, that would be maybe some type of mental thing, because I try to get them to a state that they are open to receive some information and feel good. Because if I'm if I have a lecture or something, I try to really make them learn and get these aha moments, because that sticks more and deeply. Otherwise, they could just like read the paper or watch a video or something or whatever. But when you are in a live situation, you can really read the people if they have understood what you're saying, and maybe say it with different words, which they might understand better. One of my I'm not saying it's a motto, but what I believe is that you don't actually have problems in learning, rather than you would have problems in teaching. So a good teacher can teach the same things differently to this learner or to that learner, and this learner wants to learn it that way and that learner wants to learn it that way. A good teacher can provide different ways of learning. So it's not about the receiver. He or she is not the problem. The problem is that if I'm able to express myself so that they and they and they can understand me.
I totally agree on that. Teachers do variate a lot.
Yeah.
But about that mental part, you said that you're
Yeah.
teaching them these aha moments. So in my opinion, that's mental coaching. To understand that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because it's well, yeah, because I think that I'm if I describe myself as a learner, I learn when I teach. If I learn something, I really learn it when I teach it forward, when I give it forward. Then I must like understand what it was that was given to me, that I can give it forward. If I'm just repeating what I said, I may understand it or may not. But for me, learning is giving.
Are we ever ready? Or can we always learn?
I think we can always learn. My mother and father, who are now retired, they started to learn Spanish because they want to go. They have been in Spain and that they want to be able to speak Spanish, and so that actually to this day they have done the high school courses of Spanish, and I think it's brilliant because they didn't have to do it, but they had a motivation for something new, and they were like, okay, we are going to do this, and they are learn together. So they have the books and they have the audio things, and they go to lectures and some stuff like that, and they are constantly learning a new language at their age. Is thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up
Yeah.
for sure. Different type of methods when teaching. How do you use Legos when you are teaching music? How is that possible to
How
use
is that
Lego?
possible?
Yeah.
Well, ever when I was a young kid, I always played with Legos. With my friends and stuff like that. We built Legos for hours and hours, and there's something when you are construction a thing, and with these different types of blocks that you can and they have different colors or different shapes. You can take that and turn them into musical notes or the time or because it's like I said, you have some concept that you are familiar, and you bring something new to that concept. And because Lego is visual, it's something that you can touch. You can really touch, like, okay, now I have 4 dots here, and then this brick goes upwards or downwards, and you can go and see in a very concrete way how the music should be like spread out in a sheet music or because it's just symbols. The music that we write, it's just symbols. It's just dots and lines and stuff like that that we have invented to give something like for the future generations that the music is somehow recorded in those papers or nowadays you can record the audio, for example, with these machines. But then it's like you have the alphabet, so you are writing it down, some stories, history, and the music is the same. It's just symbols, and you can have the Lego bricks to correspond those symbols, but you don't have to know what the symbol stands for. You can have just like, okay, this is a Lego part, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, and get the sensation of somehow understanding the structures of music through Lego bricks.
Nice. My wife should listen to this. She has to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
We have tons of Legos, and she now thinks that there are too many, and I disagree on that.
No, you can very easily do very interesting stuff with Legos.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Legos myself.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Legos myself. I was 12 when we visited Legoland. I was like, oh, this is very nice.
About teaching music.
Yeah.
Is the music inside all of us? Because there is this assumption that somebody has it and somebody does not have it at all.
I think that all people are capable of having an opinion about music, what they like or what they dislike. So I would say that every human being possesses music here. They can, even though if they cannot express their feelings through words, they could say that this music makes me feel that and that, or I'm feeling like the song that I heard, or some songs have deep connections to like you were a teenager and a song was a hit, and every time you hear that song, you go back to those memories and feel those feelings. So yes, I would say that every person has music inside. Every person doesn't have to, play or sing but I think that every person should be allowed to enjoy music and to have their own perception of any style, what they like.
Is it wrong as a parent to tell your kid that you cannot listen to that kind of music?
Well, I wouldn't maybe listening is it's different. It's a difficult question. When I think that what I wouldn't want my daughter to listen would be maybe this type of like a Norwegian church burning metal thing would be maybe too much for her age. She doesn't understand. But like style of like speed metal or something like that, which usually are people connect them to Satanism or something like that. I would still consider music as a way of expressing emotion, and those music styles express like anger and maybe sadness or something like that, like negative feelings, and I think there is a place for that kind of music also. And some people are empowered by that kind of music. Some like rap music. Some go to opera. Some want to just sing karaoke or something like that. So music is a vital and important piece of human life. There's music everywhere. You cannot escape music. if you think of birds singing, that's animal music, or whales, or you cannot maybe hear whales, but whales are singing, dolphins are singing. There's music waves everywhere, so no one can escape music. But for me, like I said, I don't differentiate the genres. I really try hard to understand everything that people do with music, whether it's this church burning heavy metal. Those want to do that music for some reason.
Yeah. Me, who's a person who doesn't really, well, maybe it's wrong to say I don't understand music, but I'm not a professional. I don't sing. I don't really play any instrument. I would easily think that in these type of songs or whatever, I would maybe think about what my son or daughter is listening. It's the lyrics. But is it more the sound? Or is it the lyrics? Or is it both that is affecting?
Yeah, when it's your mother tongue, it's the lyrics. Because those you can, and even as a youngster, young age, you can understand the lyrics. So when the lyrics are meant to be for adults or for grown-ups or for high school age, then it's not appropriate for kids like under school or 7 to 12. But when it's I'd say that when some songs are in English, the kids don't understand. I wouldn't want my daughter to sing some songs that talk about sexiness or something like that. It's not appropriate for a 9-year-old to sing those type of songs. But as just pure music, they can be uplifting or danceable or something like that, which is very fine. But I think that the lyrics are the key to what is appropriate or not.
Yeah. It's been so great to have you here. I've learned a lot today, to be honest. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise and all the details about the sounds and the music, because I'm not familiar with those. And it's been very interesting. And of course, thank you for opening up here as well as on the stage and sharing your thoughts and all your own personal perspective.
Thank you. It has been fun being here.
I have a couple of more questions for you still. What are your keys to success?
Work. I think that if you want to be successful, you have to have a focus, and you have to work to get that to really like we talked about the passion thing, that you passionately seek to succeed in that small area that you have the passion. You have to work a lot to be successful.
Would this be a message for the 20-year-old out there who wants to be like you, or who wants to be a singer or whatever, wants to achieve things in his or her life?
Definitely, yeah. Because the more you work, the more experience you gather, the more confident you are, the more you have those successful moments and failures, the more you really know how you react to those situations, and you build up your self-confidence, and also maybe you learn about yourself, that is this really what I want to do? Because when the failure comes, and it will come, if it's still something that you want to do, then you are on the right path. If the failure tips you away from that path, maybe that path wasn't for you.
What makes you feel down?
injustice and people not showing that they care about themselves or the person next to them, like each other, that makes me unhappy.
What gets you excited and happy?
People, my family. I think that I find happiness in life, like every day. It's just like you, when you really, if you want, you can have a positive mindset, and then you see the world in a more happy. It's a more happy place. But I really think it's a choice. You can choose happiness, or you can choose to be miserable. I choose happiness.
Thank you, Tuukka.
Thanks. Nice.